The number one thing that I've realized over all these years is never say, let's just do one more, or let's go one more time. Because most of the time, that's when things go wrong. Well, I ignored that. So a lot of people always ask me, how do you just get into somebody's car and just drive it and just not think about it? A lot of it's practice, a lot of it's repetition, a lot of it is not overthinking it. This time though, I probably should have overthought it. In 2024, I went out to Denver, Colorado, and sadly on the way there, I got stuck in the CrowdStrike airport crisis. And if you don't know what happened there, essentially all of air travel in most of the United States and a lot of Europe got completely shut down because all the big airlines use CrowdStrike, and they did a update in the middle of the night that just destroyed everybody's computers, basically. So as a responsible adult, I got to the airport at 4 in the morning for my flight at 5 in the morning, and I walk up to the counter, and the screen just gets the Windows blue screen of death all the way down the airport with the big sad face on it. Like, that's not good. It's not good at all. But, maybe I'll get on this flight and we'll get out of here before things get really bad. Well, I go up to the flight attendant. I go, oh, it's actually time to board. I'm just curious, not to bother you or anything, but are we boarding? She goes, well, I actually don't know who your pilots are, or your crew, or the flight attendants, or your seat, or your schedule. And it's all because it was run through their computer system that had failed. And that went with almost every airline, right? Except I think the exemption was Spirit, which is the funniest thing in the world to me. But next thing you know, all the customer support lines are down. So then the apps aren't working either. So the only way to get kind of sorted is to plant your flag in person and just wait in line. And that's what I did for a very long time. And it was such a long time that in my brain, I was reviewing which carpet was more comfortable to sleep on. Oh yeah, the international terminal is a little more plush. I'll go there. And people were like fighting over couches and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, finally, power through it. It's been almost 2 days of being at my home airport. People go, why didn't you just go home? It's like, because I had to have my spot, right? I had to get there because I had so many videos planned to film in Denver. So finally, I get on the plane. I get to Denver. I immediately go to the rental car center. I get in the car and immediately drive to my first shoot. No break, no hotel, no nothing. And I am so tired, fueled on caffeine. And I get to the first shoot and I tell everybody there, I go, is everyone off tomorrow? And who is not off tomorrow? And everybody was like, oh no, we're off tomorrow. So I end up doing all the glamour shots instead of the driving, right? I just do everybody's glamour shots. I go, okay, everyone's pretty shots are done. I'll come back and do some driving. Next day, do some driving. Everything goes pretty well. And I go back to my hotel. I get news that the Rad Factory, which is another YouTube channel in Colorado, would like me to come film their Miata. I saw the email, and then I saw this photo of this thing jumping off, well, frankly, a jump. And it is not small. Like when people say, oh yeah, I like jumped my car once. It's like this. They were on some back road, they went a little too fast, and they get all four wheels off the ground, or they jumped a railroad track by accident. No, this was a jump. I mean, trophy truck level, huge jump. And I was like, I have to go see this because there's no way that's real. On the last day of being in Denver, I drive out to their property, and there it was. There was the Baja Miata they had built. And what's cool about the Rad Factory is they had taken this Miata and during the wintertime, they put treads on it, made it like a tank Miata basically. And then another time, they're doing all these weird stunts with it where they had it do like a 50-50, like a skateboard over rails. And they did another video where they use all eBay parts on it, that kind of stuff to get their channel going. And it worked really well. I go up, I go, so what's the plan here? They go, okay, what we're going to have you do is get in the Miata with these huge tires, big suspension, and you're just going to drive it around a little bit. Just drive the trail. Not doing any jumps yet. We're going to see, have you get comfortable, which I very much appreciated. It wasn't one of those things where I was just completely peer pressured into it immediately. And I was very thankful for that. So I get in it, get in the contraption that is the Baja Miata from the Rad Factory, and get in, do the course a few times, and I'm starting to feel more confident in it. It's built very well. You know, it's full-blown race car, but it's built very well. And I'm like, okay, I think I can do it. And then the little neurons in the back of my brain is like, maybe this isn't a good idea. But I was like, nope. I got to get courage to do it. So I get out of the car. I swap with the owner. He takes me on a jump. And so I watch him like a hawk. I'm watching his speed. I'm watching what gear he's in. I'm making sure I do this right. Because if you do it wrong, you're going to come up short or you're going to go too far. And you're going to just, it's not going to end well. I was like, okay, I cannot screw this up. I had done stunts in cars before, but this was definitely one of those where it's like, I have to pay attention. Like, I cannot screw this up. And so I'm asking him a zillion questions. What speed are you at? What gear are you in? How do I approach it? What's the best line? Because in order to do the jump correctly, you need to basically exit a corner perfectly, right? Come around this corner, set it up, get enough speed, and go. And I watch him do it. I think we do 1 or 2 jumps together. And I'm like, okay, I think I can do it. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, no, I think I can do it. And in the back of my head, every Evel Knievel stunt that went wrong, every like Red Bull stunt I've ever thought of, like all those things where I'm like, I'm one of those guys right now. What am I doing? Like, I have nothing to prove here. Why am I doing this? Thankfully, one of the guys there, Quinn, was like, you got it. I was like, okay. And I don't know what it was, but you know, once I strapped in and got kind of settled, it's weird. I had this like flashback of like everything I'd ever driven or done in a car. It's like, okay. And it kind of calmed me down. It was like, if I could do that, I can do this. If I did that, I can do this. And then I think the best way I could equate to building up the courage to try it is my history with skateboarding. Because a lot of skateboarding is saying, screw it, just try it. Especially when people learn how to drop in on a half pipe, right? Or a quarter pipe. That's one of the scariest things people have to overcome because they have to look down, they have to put their foot up, and they have to commit. And with this was one of those times where I had to commit. I couldn't just go, I don't want to do it anymore when I'm about to go off the jump. You had to do it. As I take that corner and I'm approaching it, turn my brain off. You know, like I made sure I was in the right gear, roughly the right speed, and I did it. And I just remember going over and it's like silence, right? Like it's almost just, it's weird because like time almost slows down in a way. It sounds very pragmatic, but you know, as soon as you felt those big tires come off the jump, it's like, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. And you feel the nose start to do this a little bit. And then when I saw I was going to clear, I was just like, oh, good. And it was a fairly good landing. I might have overshot it. I think I said to myself, I'd rather overshoot it than undershoot it. And I think they were like, holy crap, you took that way too fast, but I made it. The number one thing that I've realized over all these years is never say, let's just do one more, or let's go one more time. Because most of the time, that's when things go wrong. Well, I ignored that. He's like, hey, you want to do one more? I was like, I'll do one more. Not to mention, it's basically 2 jumps back to back, right? So you do one, you land, and then you scoop yourself down. So as you're landing, you feel all the suspension compress, and you have to set up for the next one, which is immediately after. So you go off, you land, you squat, and then you either, I can't remember how much throttle I used, but I was like, I'm not messing this up. I'm like, I'm putting it down. So we go off, and I believe it was the second one I might have overdone because I was just committing to commit. So it's time to go again. I go around, and this time I'm like, nah, I got it. We're good. Because all that fear is gone, right? It's like, it's all good. I just took it way too fast and almost tabletop the freaking thing. Like, it come down. It wasn't to the point of like, oh God, I'm not trying to sound over dramatic, but it was one of those where it just shows how close your calculations have to be. And I had a thought about when Travis Pastrana years ago, he jumped this river. I can't remember what river it was for New Year's Eve. And he was in a Subaru rally car. And the announcers were very like, he has to stay within 1 mile an hour, or he will go here or go there, or he will screw up. And that was just in the back of my head the whole time. Like, you got to stay in this little window. And then when I left the window, I saw why you got to stay in the window, right? Because it just was obnoxious. So then when we landed, I got out, I was like, okay, we did the thing. We're calling it. But I'm very thankful for the experience because the guys there had never met me. They had no reason to let me do it because I showed up to their property and I thought, I'll just film them do it because it's cool. And the pictures they get of this thing doing this is just, they're phenomenal. It's just going into the sky, right? And I like what they're doing over there. I think it's a very creative avenue for what they do on their YouTube channel. And the fact that these guys shook my hand and said, all right, go jump our car we've spent so long on, was just really incredible. And I just want to thank them again for such an amazing memory. When I put the video out, a part of me was like, I wonder if YouTube's going to flag this because of how dangerous it is. And I think they did. I'm pretty sure that it was not distributed well. And that's, whatever. But it was one of those things where, you edit all day and then you put it up and you're like, I risked my life for this. But it wasn't that dramatic. It was a really cool experience, really amazing time, and I got to jump a Miata very, very far. And I lived to tell the tale. So to give context, basically their goal was to make this thing Baja legal, like Baja 1000 legal. So they had to, cross their T's and dot their I's to make sure everything was tuned really well. Off the top of my head, I think it had King suspension on it, which you would find in a trophy truck, right? So when you got in it and you were going over bumps, it was nothing. It was nothing. The only thing you heard was the metal body of the Miata going, I wasn't meant to do this, but it did it anyway. And it just shows, once again, the Miata is the most used motorsport vehicle of all time. So over here, it's gone on the snow. It's done a 50-50. It literally just grinded these two rails they had. It was insane. And then it jumped, into the stratosphere. So really impressive stuff. And they have some really other cool builds too. But that's obviously the one that's like really stuck in my mind because I, jumped it.
We love Lemon Squad because they can have a certified inspector out to look at a car that you're considering buying within 1 to 3 days. It's the most powerful way to be the shrewdest negotiator possible in a used car transaction. But sometimes even that isn't quick enough, and sometimes you're pressured by a dealership staff or a salesperson into making a decision on the spot. So they have launched the perfect solution for this, Lemon Squad Live. It allows you in less than 2 minutes to set up a video call with one of their certified inspectors at the car you're looking at so they can help you walk through what to look for and what to walk away from. It's the best way to avoid these high pressure, difficult situations where a used car can be a lot to take in and you want to make the best buying decision possible. Using one of their certified inspectors can help you figure out if the paint doesn't match and what to look at for consumable items like brakes, tires, and things like that. How to check the fluids, how to check the functionality of the infotainment. Anything that you need to look around a car to be the most qualified and researched buyer possible. Lemon Squad Live is here to help, so check them out now at the link in the description below or by using the QR code on your screen.